Hello, you all. How are you surfing the waves? It's been an energetic doozy, right? I find that we're in this like continual expansion, contraction, and I liken it to labor, of the surges or the contractions that come in, and it really is like a birthing process right now. And so if you're feeling the fluctuations, I think you're not alone, right? You're on the path. And it made me think about as we're going through this demolition state of society and a really old way of being, shedding of the skin. We're going into year of the snake. It reminds me of Krishnamurti's quote that goes, it is no measure of health to be well adapted to a sick society. So, if you're someone that has felt like a black sheep, that has felt like you're on the outside, that feels like you don't belong, you probably have not felt like you fit into society. And maybe for a long period of time, that was hard and it didn't feel, like you belonged on this planet, even, right? And some of us might know that we're not from here, but that's a whole other story aside. Now more than ever, I think more and more people are beginning to feel that, like, I don't fit into this anymore. And you shouldn't, because it is no measure of health to be well adapted to a sick society. What we're finally waking up to is that it's sick. That everything that they have been plugging us with of you want this, and this is what's going to make you happy, and this is what you need, and this is what you should do, it's all BS, right? And so more and more people are feeling the dissatisfaction and that transition and that kind of awakening. This is why I say spiritual awakening can also be somewhat traumatizing, because it's breaking through illusions, and most especially breaking through the illusion of your reality, the reality that you once knew, that you thought was true. When those illusions get shattered, it's like, oh, what have I been in? What have I been in this whole time? And what is real and what is reality? Because a lot of our reality in society has been conditioned, scripted, manipulated, right? So, but this feeling of dissatisfaction and that this kind of turmoil that it creates in people right now, I actually think is a really positive thing, because it's probing the question of what has meaning for me? What has purpose for me? What is purpose? Like, I was just listening to, I think it was Danny Morell, that was talking about how we've been conditioned to believe that purpose is something that you do. Purpose is your soul's mission in this life, to know more of itself. And maybe it has lessons that it wants to learn. Maybe it has ways in which it wants to be of service. There's a whole gamut of things that your soul might have come here to experience. But it's an experience. It's not what you have to do to achieve, to get the accolade, to get the validation, to succeed in a society that is no measure of health, right? This isn't a good society. So this questioning of what has purpose for me, what is my purpose, is an invitation for us to go inside and go, well, who am I? First, I have to know who the hell I am, without all of the God, what's the word? Without all of the formations that society would have you in. So the roles, you could say, and there are some roles that are accepted and some roles that are not. Draw within the lines. That's what you're taught at school when you're a kid. Draw within the lines, stay within the lines. What are you going to do when you grow up? Who are you going to be? Which was in relationship to what are you going to do when you grow up? It's all very kind of, you think that you have choice, but it's very like funneled into, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be, and if you're anything outside of that, like God forbid you're an artist or a healer, you're automatically ostracized, right? You're outside of society. You're an alternative, which is so funny and ironic, because alternative, I would say, is natural. Like natural medicine. It's not alternative medicine. It's natural medicine from the earth, right? So much has been, like I said, scripted. But to go in and really ask yourself the question of who am I without the constructs of society? You know, my version of this when I was 21 years old, when I had an injury that took me away from my profession as a professional ballet dancer, was who am I without the identity of being a dancer? You know, just who is Corinne, and who is the soul that is steering Corinne, you could say. Right? And that's a really profound question that deserves time and being with yourself. And I think the moment that we get to know, well, who am I, and what is my resonance, and what lights me up, what excites me, what inspires me, what motivates me, what brings me into that feeling of love and passion and joy. And then that's what you do. The doing is just the expression of who you are and what makes your soul light up, your heart light up, right? What makes you smile? What makes you feel like when you do that, you go, God, I feel so fulfilled and alive and grateful and appreciative and connected. And you get all of this energy. If something is taking energy away from you and it's draining you, you're not in your soul's essence. You're not in your quote unquote potential or your purpose, because doing that should be a natural expression of who you are, and that should feel very enlivening. But we're doing this as a collective right now to really ask ourselves what has meaning. And so the normal crap is going to feel really unfulfilling. It's going to feel superficial. It's going to feel pointless. It's going to feel tiring and energetically draining. And like I said, there might be a period of like confusion because, oh, the things that I used to do don't make me happy anymore. They're not as exciting and fulfilling anymore. And then if you don't yet know, well, what is the thing that gives me a sense of aliveness and that drives me in a really inspired way, then there's this no man's land in between that's like, well, what am I doing here, right? And so I think if you find yourself in that place, it's okay. Know that it's part of the process. And all of this is like, come inwards, come towards yourself, be curious about who you are and what you love, and be tender and gentle and kind with yourself, with the parts that are still needing your loving attention, that maybe you're still in criticism, or you're in judgment, or you're in I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I should be doing this because my parents or my peers or society. There's a lot of unlearning. There's a lot of conditioning that we need to strip away, right? So part of this fluctuation of the expansion and contraction is we're simultaneously shedding old skins and we're birthing new forms, new selves, and a new society, and a society that we cannot compare to anything that came before us. Because if we truly want to evolve, and we are in this evolution of consciousness, it has to be new. It can't be a repeat cycle of the past. Like, we've done that for eons, and I think humanity is like, yeah, we've done that, right? Like we've that experiment is like, we've figured that out and we're ready to do something different. And so, you know, I will speak a lot about there is no savior. There's no figure in this world that is going to make it better for you. Like, it's really going to come down to us and our ability to say, what do I want? What do I not want? What do I stand for? Where do I put my focus, my attention, my money, all of these things, right? But even just on an energetic, spiritual level of just what am I going to support by giving my focus, you know, or am I going to redirect it? And I talked about in this week's episode of the gift of judgment, which is, instead of getting stuck in just judging what you don't like, hating what you don't like, blaming what you don't like, let it be a fuel for inspiration and innovation, where you take that energy and then you redirect it in going, okay, if I hate that, then what can I do to be a part of the solution? But if you just focus on the judgment and the blame and the hatred, that's all you're giving your like incredibly powerful and important focus. You're feeding that. You're feeding more of what you hate, rather than I'm going to do something. Like we need to, the things that we need to do shouldn't be in order to receive validation. What we're being called to right now is the things that we do are an extension and a taking action as a reflection of what has meaning, and that you're going to do something about it, right? So if we want to change the world, don't wait for politicians to do it. Like, that's the biggest joke ever, right? Don't wait for anyone to do it. Do it yourself, and do it by being it, so that the action is just literally the expression of your being, you know, and everything that you hold as important and true. And I would invite you that it's a hard one. It's masterful for us to go, okay, how can I disagree with something and not get stuck in the judgment of it? How can I disagree with someone and not get stuck in the blame, but actually go, okay, I don't have to agree with that. I don't have to agree with you. But let me take what that I feel passionate about and create something that is actually going to benefit all. And I think this is changing the service to self to service to all, right? The survival mode to the collaborative model of we're in this together, and it's okay to disagree, but we're going to have to come and really work together. And, you know, as I've shared this before, you see the gift of crisis as people come together in really compassionate ways, right? So yeah, the invitation is to ride the waves, acknowledge the fluctuations, but let it all be an invitation to really ask yourself these questions of what has meaning and purpose, what matters, and how can you be part of the solution. When I say solution, it's not to fix what's broken, but to create something that's actually going to be regenerative. It's alive, right? And whether you're doing that in physical reality, emotional, energetic, spiritual, it's all good, right? It's all work that needs to be done. So it's just a matter of perception and perspective, and how we want to approach it, how we want to see it, right? Everything is based on how we see things, which is based on what we believe about them. So what if we were to believe that we can be in a much more collaborative, compassionate world, and if we're being shown that what we've been used to is no longer fulfilling and feels superficial and false and fake and stale, then go to what has meaning. So I hope that made sense. As always, take it or leave it as feels right for you, and loving you from afar. Bye.